Breaking news. On Friday afternoon, Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Chapek announced that the company would be undergoing a hiring freeze and seemingly imminent layoffs. Now, this is something that has affected a great number of companies across a great number of industries in recent months. Disney is not unique in this situation, but there is a lot to discuss here because this could be Bob Chapek's big moment that we've been waiting for, to take this opportunity to really clean house. He has all of the macroeconomic factors as a tailwind in his favor. Will he choose to use them in this moment? The discussion you're about to watch is but a precursor for a much larger conversation that WDW Pro and I will have on Sunday, this weekend at 5 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time on Renegade Online, where we will discuss in far greater detail what we think is going on and what we think is yet to come. Stay tuned, set your notifications. You do not want to miss that show. Let's get into it. Renegade Online. Well, welcome back, folks. Another great day here at Valliant Renegade. It's great to see all of you out there once again. And if you are like one of the many folks watching this video that might not yet be subscribed to the channel, please take a moment. Do hit that like button, that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, share this sucker out on the social medias, and please do leave a comment below the video before you head out the door today. YouTube loves the comments. I am joined as once again by my good buddy WDW Pro from thatparkplace.com. We have a lot to discuss today. But before we get into it, Pro, I want to let the folks out there watching know that this is a simple precursor to the bigger conversation. There is no way that we can get into all the detail of what you need to know about the Walt Disney Company and this announcement today, as we record this at least, about the hiring freezes and the layoffs. This is
yet a wee appetizer.
A very wee appetizer for a big Sunday live stream, Renegade Online, right here on Valliant Renegade. If you have never watched the live streams before, you need to make sure you catch this one and let your friends know about it. WDW Pro and I from That Park Place will be talking about this, and we have another guest this weekend, somebody who actually had a 48-hour lead on this very story thanks to one of his Patreon members, and that, of course, is Mr. Cameron Pasha. He will be here Sunday as well to join Pro and I here on the stream. So we got a big show then, but we're going to give you a taste of things to come because there is a lot of business and financial data to break down. What's going on with Disney? Is this just relegated to Disney? Is this a broader spectrum? We kind of hinted at this before, but this is big news, Pro. Kind of give me some of your initial, 30,000 foot view thoughts on this one.
Well, kudos first to Cameron for picking this up. It's a heck of a leak for him to get, and so he's worthy of some serious praise there. This is also the culmination of, months, even years of predictions that we've been making and talking about sort of the ominous future that Disney had as we watched the various brands going down the proverbial toilet. So we've watched Lucasfilm flub movie after movie, show after show. We've watched diminishing returns for the Marvel universe on Disney Plus, and we've seen stagnation when it comes to Marvel's movies even. We've been watching as things like Turning Red have turned audiences away. We've watched as Lightyear has been one of the biggest flops since Atlantis and Treasure Planet for the Walt Disney Company. So all of this has been pointing towards the indefeatable Walt Disney Company finally stumbling to the point that people will take notice. They've been so big for so long that so many people thought this simply could not happen to them. Well, guess what? It is happening. It has happened. And now the people who have been in charge of content that isn't driving sales or audiences are going to have to be exiting stage right.
Indeed. Very much so, and very quickly, and the blackout won't even fade before they get off the stage. So I look, this is something that is, I can't say terribly unexpected. There have been signs across not only the entertainment industry, but across a great many industries, given the macroeconomic forces that have been at work here, not only in the United States, but of course across the globe. We've got inflation, we have a rising U.S. dollar as compared to foreign currency. There's a lot of factors at play. For those that have been watching some of the coverage that, like you and I did just recently on the Disney earnings call, and then the previous week where we covered the Warner Brothers earnings and things like this, we have seen a consistent message from these companies, including Netflix, where FX drag, foreign currency drag, is a big problem as the dollar strengthens with all the inflation. It was going to affect everybody, and Disney was not going to be immune. And to me, I wasn't terribly surprised that no big news that we saw today dropped Tuesday during the Disney earnings call. And there's been a lot of people speculating and making accusations that, well, you know, this company did that and Disney did this and that because of the elections. I'm like, nah, that really had nothing to do with it. It's just the fact that they didn't want to blow this before the earnings call. This did not surprise me at all. The timing of it really did not surprise me at all. This is what broke today. Disney plans layoffs, a rigorous review of spending, hiring freeze, tough and uncomfortable decisions, quote unquote, coming from Walt Disney Company CEO Bob Chapek. So give me some of your initial thoughts on this particular situation in terms of, you know, the timing or what you feel at this point is at play here.
Well, you're exactly right that releasing this information at the end of a Friday, and that Friday being Veterans Day, and that Friday being the same Friday that Black Panther is out there, Wakanda Forever, which may itself also be coming under the original projections. All of that is an attempt to hide the football. So this is an attempt by Disney to make sure that the fewest people possible will be following this information, which is essentially that they're drastically cutting. They're pulling an Elon at Twitter, right? But we're all supposed to hate him, but not Disney. But I would say also that it's interesting to me that they're doing this a couple of weeks before one of their next big movies, and I put that in quotation marks, but their next big movies, Strange World comes out. The last Disney animated film that came out at the box office was a tremendous flop. I mean, it lost at least $100 million, probably $200 million in Lightyear.
Close to
now, they are heading for an even bigger flop with Strange World, unless something miraculous were to occur. I mean, it's in the future, so who can prognosticate perfectly? But it looks like Strange World is going to be a tremendous flop for them, and it gives them the cover they need. So if they come out and do these, they make the announcement, then we're going to start hearing about those cuts. And you can believe that they're going to be going to social media, and dare I say, they'll flee to Twitter as much as they have maligned it recently. They'll be on Twitter telling us all about how they cried out the door and how horrible Bob Chapek is. And the cover that he needs is to point at Strange World and say, $200 million budget, you made $30 million at the box office this weekend. That's why you're going out the door. And that is Bob Chapek's cover. That's the timing that we're getting right now.
Indeed, it is. And this is something that people need to start paying attention to. And I know there's been a lot of folks out there, and I completely understand what they're saying. I'm not angry at anybody or disagreeing with anybody on the surface of that, you know, regarding there's been a lot of frustration with Bob Chapek, right? Folks out there watching, I get it. I get it. And I've been talking about Bob Chapek since he got in there saying, look, this is the money guy. This is the guy that's going to look at the bottom line. This is the guy that's going to make decisions at the end of the day as a meritocracy, right? We got to see some financial performance from every sector out there, and the ones that don't perform up to par based on the investment that we put into it are probably going to have to get cut or eliminated altogether. Well, guess what, folks? That time is now. We're seeing that. Now, I know folks have given him a lot of flack over, this Wall Street Journal interview recently. And people said that, well, he said Disney really wasn't woke and all this. Well, he didn't actually say that. And I talked about this the other night, reminded folks, and I said, look, he didn't want to give a soundbite answer to that. He gave a very politician's answer to that, which is fine. That's what I would expect. He's walking a tightrope. And as much as I would love Bob Chapek to be at the same position as a David Zaslav, folks, he's not at the same position as a David Zaslav. But as I said during the Warner Brothers earnings call, after hearing David Zaslav, one of my questions was, well, boy, after this call, that Disney earnings call, or Disney news at least in the future, near future, should be pretty interesting. Well, here we are. This is happening. Now, what's going to be fun to watch is how he actually dials this out, right? There's expectations, like you said, Pro, talking about Pixar in particular. A very, very, very underperforming segment for Disney, especially in the last year or so. That is a black hole for money to just disappear into. Lucasfilm is not far behind it.
Remind the audience, how much money did it cost to make Lightyear?
$200 million.
How much did it cost to make Minions?
$85 million to $100 million.
Okay. And anybody out there can go look up the box office revenues and see, I mean, it's exponentially different.
It's ridiculous. Not to mention the post-theatrical or ancillary theatrical tie-ins. And by that, I mean merchandising sales. Does anybody have a moment of doubt as to which one of those two summer animated blockbuster properties outsold the other one by orders of magnitude? If you said Minions, duh. I mean, it's not even close. So that's the difference right now. But what's going to be interesting to see, Pro, give me some tidbits of thoughts on where, besides, I mean, we've got Pixar that's underperforming. We've got Lucasfilm that's underperforming. Yes, there may be some cuts in the broadcast television, maybe even Disney Plus for production. We're going to get more into that Sunday. Yes, there could be cuts at the parks as well. But here's the thing.
I'm laughing about that one because the people who love the parks are going to be furious because they've already been cut.
Yeah, exactly. But this is the thing. If you're Bob Chapek and you're looking at the financial revenues, you're looking at the gross sales. We covered this during the earnings call. Drunk 3PO was there with us, and we did an explanation in terms of this is where Disney makes its money. And I'm actually clipping that and making it a separate video so everybody can get a good understanding of how this works for Disney. Because you come here to actually learn the business side of Disney's business to know how all this stuff works, right? You can go anywhere to get the social commentary, and there's a lot of great YouTubers out there that do it. You come here to get the math and the finance and the business. So point being is that Disney parks, ESPN, linear television, that makes Disney the most money. It makes them the highest amount of gross revenues. It makes them the highest amount of operating income, which is to say the amount of money they keep after they pay all their expenses and operating costs and things like this, right? That's those two entities. The movie studios are actually on the lowest end of that. They're the lowest tier basically for Disney in terms of net operating income. So I mean, that's what we have to look through this, lens with in terms of where is Chapek going to possibly, or at least most likely, go with some of the most onerous layoffs and hiring freezes. Pro, what do you think?
Well, it's not a small announcement. I mean, the idea that except for very special occasions, they're going to freeze all hiring. I mean, that is tremendous.
Yes.
You have to think about how big this company is that we're discussing. This is a mammoth company, and across all of their divisions, except for in very special circumstances, it's done. It's over. They're not hiring anybody else. Mm-hmm. And, if you look at how much they've dropped in their stock, if you look at the trend lines we've been looking at when it comes to their content pickup rates by audiences, you can see that they may be looking at this situation and saying, we've got to trim the fat here. So there are two groups that I think are safe in all of this. Now, you've already mentioned the sports, broadcasting, all that kind of stuff. I think they're completely safe. I think Disney's going to spend all the money that they need to handle that. They may even increase spending.
That's a money machine.
Gonna have to, yeah, they're certainly going to have to pick up people if Chapek wants to move forward with the gambling section of what the company is interested in, and integrating that into ESPN. The other place that I think is safe at this point from budget cuts that I think are coming. I mean, I think Walt Disney Animation Studios is going to get massive cuts.
Yeah.
But the one place I think is also safe, other than the sports side, I think Marvel's safe. Now, they might try to get those budgets down by $50 million or so.
So they're relatively safe compared to some others. Yeah.
Relatively safe. And here's the reason, though. Here's the reason I think that those budgets have to stay inflated versus the normal cost for other movies across the entire box office sphere, the entire theatrical release sphere of other studios. Marvel movies are really expensive. I think that's going to keep up because we've talked about before, the strategy going forward to save Phase 5 and Phase 6 is to pick up very lucrative contracts for high-paid actors, legacy actors who they can leverage big-time money into those contracts they're going to sign. Yep. And when you think about that and you think about the rising cost of CGI, Disney is kind of stuck when it comes to what they're going to pay for Marvel, and they are not going to let Marvel go the way of Star Wars. They cannot afford it.
No, they can't. And that's the kind of thing that we're going to discuss a lot more in detail on Sunday afternoon at 5 p.m. U.S. Central Standard Time. Make sure you stay tuned for that. Make sure you're checking out thatparkplace.com. In the meantime, because I'm sure Pro is probably going to be dropping some updates on the website, as you always do. And Cameron Pasha.
Make sure to follow at WDW Pro 1. That's WDW Pro 1 on Twitter.
There you go.
We're dropping some stuff there as well.
Indeed. And Cameron Pasha, as a reminder, will be here Sunday to join us. Thank you all for watching today. Stay tuned. We have loads, and I do mean loads more to discuss this weekend. Hope to see you there. Take care.
Hit subscribe.